All right, next up, a question from August Williams. If shooting TTF, what would you recommend for transitioning to learning to shoot a pickle fork or PFS? And what are the pros and cons between a scout style frame versus a PFS style frame? Okay, I'll have to ask you a question for that question. What do Ritz crackers and your release have in common? We're going to answer that. Okay, so shooting TTF or shooting any slingshot that is set up in a TTF format, you want to make sure you have a really clean release. What you want to avoid is the speed bump effect. And we've put out lots of videos on that, so if you need any help, go and check those out. The biggest difference between shooting a PFS and any other slingshot, especially TTF, is that when shooting PFS, you want to do everything wrong, basically, which is just right for shooting a pickle fork. And that is the tweak or the speed bump, an intentional tweak and speed bump. The tweak being a slight twist of the pouch and bending. The bending of the pouch allows the projectile to rise up over the bone in the finger and begin its path up and over the forks. As you see here, we don't have a lot of fork gap on a PFS slingshot. So what you can do to learn if you're doing the speed bump effect correctly, you can set up your scout or any other slingshot that you choose to shoot in your TTF format. Make sure it's one that you don't mind damaging. And bend the pouch when you shoot and see what happens. It's probably going to be a fork kit. Then do it with a pickle fork slingshot. But what you're going to do is just take your pickle fork and put a rubber band around it. And then strap a Ritz cracker to it. So that the cracker is clearly in the path. Oh, I put it on the wrong side. Attach that Ritz cracker or any other cracker, something fragile, to it, so it's clearly in the way. If you shoot this in a manner as you would a TTF slingshot with a clean release with no speed bump effect, you will destroy perhaps your slingshot, but definitely you're going to bust the cracker. But if you twist and tweak, meaning bending the pouch, you will watch that projectile fly up and over the Ritz cracker and not break it, and we'll demonstrate that for you outdoors. So, biggest difference between shooting a TTF slingshot and a pickle fork slingshot is, depending on your perspective, you're doing one absolutely wrong and the other one absolutely correct. If you have a good clean release shooting TTF, that is not going to work for you on a pickle fork slingshot. Likewise, what works on a pickle fork slingshot is not going to work well shooting TTF. All right, so we have our cracker attached to the back of the slingshot frame. So when we bend the pouch, tweak and twist, whatever you want to call it, shooting the slingshot incorrectly as opposed to shooting TTF, we should end the shot with the cracker still intact, thereby, having the projectile rise up over the cracker and not break. All right, so the cracker's still intact. Now if we want to see how shooting it correctly will break the cracker, you can do that on your own because it's a guaranteed fork kit. And I'm going to pass on that today. So thanks for taking a look, and as always, be sure to subscribe and like.